Around 70,000 people took to the streets in Prague to protest against the Czech government. They expressed displeasure that the government was paying more attention to war-torn Ukraine as opposed to its own citizens. The protest was dubbed Czech Republic in the first place. Now, protesters highlighted issues being faced by the country. Czech Republic is going through their worst cost of living crisis in 3 decades. They recorded their highest inflation of 17.5% since 1993 in July. The inflation has been worsened by the rise in energy prices, the cost of COVID-19 vaccinations, and the influx of immigrants. Protesters demanded the centre-right government of Petr Fiala to resign. Fiala had taken office in December of 2021. Protesters also voiced opposition to the European Union and NATO. Some protesters even expressed the desire to exit the two groups. The Czech Republic has received around 400,000 refugees from Ukraine since Russia's invasion. They have also provided substantial military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Fiala has said that the rally was organized by pro-Russian people. He said that their interests conflicted with that of the Czech Republic. Protest in Prague was held a day after the government survived a no-confidence vote. The vote showed how Europe's energy crisis is fueling political instability. Energy prices are growing across Europe following the decrease in gas supplies from Russia, prompting rising energy prices across the continent. The UK, Czech Republic, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia are some of the worst hit countries by this energy crisis. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Danielle Lacalle, who is a chief economist at Tressis. Thank you for being with us. Now, with Gazprom stopping gas supplies to Europe, do you expect the energy prices to rise across the continent once again? And also, which are the countries that are expected to be the worst hit?
I certainly believe that the shutdown of volumes from Nord Stream 1, the pipeline that feeds gas from Russia into Germany and Central Europe, is going to create a very, very significant rise in energy prices. We have to remember that there's no cheaper alternative in the European Union than Russian gas. So any other alternative, even if there is not shutdown of complete availability of gas for the winter, is going to be massively more expensive. Liquefied natural gas is certainly significantly more expensive, and renewables, nuclear and hydro, don't add to the mix in periods of in which you lose so much volume from Russia. No? It's about 150 BCM. Which countries are the most affected by this? Certainly those that have reduced their exposure to nuclear in the last years, Germany in particular. Certainly those that are closest to Russia and have even up to 100% of dependency on Russian gas, Finland, Holland, numerous economies in the Eurozone and in the European Union are certainly going to be severely affected in both ways, both in very elevated prices, but also in security of supply.
Right. And Daniel, with the energy prices rising as a direct impact of the war, do you think that European countries, especially the economically weaker ones, are losing sympathy for the plight of Ukraine, as the protests seem to suggest in Prague?
I think that it is not that clear. I don't think it is very, very clear. If we look at the support for the Ukraine in this invasion. We look at the polls and the different countries' reactions. And yes, of course, there may be protest in some countries, as you have just shown. But in the vast majority of countries, despite rocketing gas prices and certainly a crisis that does not seem to end, the support remains pretty high. So, but it's important to monitor what you are just showing, which is that there might be cracks in the unity of some European countries if citizens start to be discontent with what governments are imposing in terms of policy.
Right. And finally, the G7 countries have come up with an idea of capping Russian oil price. Do you think that this is a feasible idea which will have the desired impact of the West?
I don't think that measure takes into account the reality of the oil market, which is a global market. And you cannot just say, well, we're going to put a cap on the prices of Russian oil, because ultimately countries all over Asia, China, India itself, obviously, and many others may buy the same crude from Russia and then refine it and sell refined products to other countries. So what we need to understand is that measures in terms of a global market like the oil market make no sense from the point of intervention coming from governments. What governments need to do in this particular case is that if they want to impose pressure on Russia, it has to be in terms of finance, in terms of different areas, but in terms of energy, it has proven to backfire and generate more problems. So repeating the mistakes that were committed with natural gas is not a good idea.
Right. Daniel, thank you very much for your valuable opinion and being with us on this broadcast.
Thank you very much.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.